the Palo Santo wood is a wood from Ecuador that when you burn it, it just smells like beautiful incense. It's fantastic.
Oh, I know what sandalwood smells like.
Well, so it's not sandalwood, it's Palo Santo wood. It's a different wood. So it's
Okay.
kind of like sandalwood, but it's
Mm-hmm.
Palo Santo instead.
Okay.
So I'll leave this here. So all you do,
Thank you.
set it up next to a can. You use Palo Santo. Okay, good, perfect, right. So what we're gonna do to start is you're just gonna sit however the heck you want to sit, and
Oh, good.
good. Whatever's good for you. Um, and then what we're gonna do is we can kind of move this guy like a little away for a second, and you're just gonna take 30 breaths in. So you're gonna go and just let it fall out.
Okay.
So it's gonna. I'll do like
Get
a,
my
like a few
spine a
few
little
ones. Have you
straighter.
done this? Have you done this before, Mary? Yeah. Yeah. Have
Oh
you done
my
the Wim Hof
gosh,
version of it?
Mary.
Yeah, Mary's hip. You keep hip
Gosh.
humans around here. All right.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is I'll do like a few breaths just to give you a sense of what it is. So it's that 30 times. And then on the breath out, we're going to do a breath hold for as long as feels comfortable for you. Nobody needs to be a hero. Just holding the breath out for a little bit and kind of just observing yourself. And then you're going to take a breath in. And on the next breath out, we're going to hum.
Okay.
So humming is really fantastic for everything, tuning your body in general. It helps with increasing nitric oxide in the blood, good for circulation, all the things. But that's all we're going to do. So the whole practice of everything is like a minute and a half.
Okay.
And I find it to be a great way to kind of like,
Okay. And you'll need to continue to direct me
yeah.
because I won't hold all of that.
Yeah.
Chances are. Okay.
Katie's in the present. Perfect. All right. So you can just follow. You can just follow my lead.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna start. So 30 breaths, and then I'll tell you. On the breath out, blow all your air out, and then just hold it for a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. Right.
Hmm.
All right. Here we go. And you breathe all your air out, and then just hold. And whenever you want to, you can breathe in. And then we're gonna do one more totally crazy thing. It's called Bhramari pranayama.
Okay. And just so you know, I
Hmm.
misunderstood,
Okay.
and I was breathing through the first two quarters of the last, what I heard in the end as hold.
Okay.
I
That's
mean, as
okay. I
you
appreciate your honesty.
don't hold, something like that.
Oh yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to do it again? It's okay if it's
It
okay.
was amazing that last third.
Oh,
I
good.
got a taste. It was
Let's
amazing.
do it again.
It was amazing. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll just do quick. So typically we do it in like threes anyway. So I do the abbreviated version just because I don't want.
Realize this is turning into a session,
Uh-huh.
and I have an interview
Yeah.
at the end of the hour. Is this good with you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we have. Okay, so you have to be out of here at 11.
Oh, good. We're
Okay, yeah, we're
yeah.
good. Yeah, yeah. The conversation's 45 minutes or so. Yeah, you can bring this a little closer actually. And I'm gonna grab my water because once we get going, we'll probably just keep going right into it.
Mm.
I'm so glad that you enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's just this is quite a find.
Great, cool. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Um, you have introduced me to many things as well. So we'll start off sitting any way you'd like, and we're gonna go 30 breaths. And there's no hard rules, 30, 25, 35, whatever it is. I don't actually really count. I just kind of go to what feels good. And then on the last breath, breathing out. And it doesn't need to be like all of your air
Yeah.
out, just kind of letting the air out and then just holding your breath for typically it's like 40 seconds or so,
Yeah.
but whatever. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So we'll begin. Blow your air out. So then from here, more weird stuff that I find fun. It seems like you're into new things. So we're just going to cover our eyes. This is called Bhramari pranayama, is a
Mm-hmm.
fancy, unnecessary term for it. And so we're going to cover our eyes. Typically, you cover your ears as well. We're going to cover our eyes. We're going to take a deep breath in, and then we're going to blow all the air out and keep on humming. So it's and you can explore with the sound. Sometimes you can feel it more in your head, you can feel it more in your throat. Like
Mm-hmm.
take the sound wherever you want to take it, and you're gonna breathe all of your air out, 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 out until your abdomen is completely empty. So it's like vacuum sealed.
Okay.
And then if you want to go for the adventure, I won't know whether you do or not, but it's up to you. From there, you can squeeze all of your P muscles, and you can kind of pull your throat back and kind of pull your head up and kind of and be in a position like that, and you could visualize the sushumna or chakra or whatever. You don't need to visualize anything, just kind of compressing everything out. Does that make sense? So
I'll do my
yeah,
best.
so breathing in and then humming out. And then you're going to hum out until you vacuum seal all the air out of your body.
Okay.
Push, 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 push,
Yeah,
push.
and then I'm going to push from here.
Yeah,
And
you can, whatever you want. Yeah, we can talk about it later if you want.
okay.
But essentially, it's like you're kind of squeezing the P muscles and kind of just like getting all the stuff out of there.
Okay.
Last thing.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
All right.
All right. So taking a deep breath in, and you can cover your eyes actually if you're open to it. So you're gonna go like this. Yep. Cover your eyes. Deep breath in, and then humming out. And you take a normal breath. And then we come back into here. We're here.
That was it?
That was it.
I didn't miss anything?
You didn't miss a beat.
Did I miss anything?
That was good. No, you didn't miss a
okay.
beat. It was
All
perfect.
right.
All right. So bring this guy a little closer to your mouth. Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much fun was that? It was really great.
I had a great time. I feel like the first time that I saw you was at your event in LA, and it was very similar to this, except I was watching you work with people up on stage and kind of like transforming people's perspectives of their stories. And it's a very fascinating full circle experience to be here with you now in Ojai.
Yeah.
I so greatly appreciate you opening up the time.
Well, I love that you made the visit and we have this time together.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how is life? What are you
Oh,
focused on?
it's so good.
Good.
What am I focused on?
Yeah.
You.
Good. I love that. What's inspiring for you these days?
I think just learning something from you today.
Yeah.
You mean in these days?
Yeah.
This.
I feel like with you, you have this very evident childlike outlook in the world, and then you also have a very strong. You go well between masculine, feminine, laying the hammer down when it's necessary, and then also going into very like open, receptive, childlike receptivity. And it's such a beautiful thing that I don't see with very many people. Is that something that one cultivates?
I just don't know what. I just don't know why not.
Yeah.
There's no downside.
What do you think it is with people? What is why are people so serious?
Oh, I think it has to do with identity. Maybe people think they're supposed to be, or maybe, I know. Ooh, I know. They think there's something to be serious about.
Yeah.
And anything I would have to be serious about, I'd have to question because that would interfere with my freedom, my creativity, and I don't want it to sound too simple. Like I need to be seriously here. This is an interview. If I believed that, I couldn't be here with you.
Yeah.
I would be, it's just I'd be in some kind of identity that would ruin it for me.
Yeah. So how does a person, because I think it's interesting, the idea going in and out of like duality and unicity. So the reality of things is we're all one. I am you, you are me, we are this couch. It's all just one interactive.
But what is meant by that?
Right. So what is meant by that?
Okay. It's like it's like you are me as I believe you to be. You can never be more or less than that in my world. So if I'm not connected with you, if I'm not really connected, then I'm not connected with myself because there's something in my head that is foreign to my nature. So that's what inquiry is all about. It's about internal unity. And in that, you're connected to everyone and everything.
Yeah, I think I was listening to your A Mind at Home with Itself, and I think in there, one of the things I jotted down was that, I believe it was from that. I'm listening to a lot of different audiobooks, but I believe it was that generosity comes naturally when you break out of that structure of I.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't go around slapping myself, you know. It's like if I look at you and I go, he this, he that, da 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 da. It's just like slapping my own face. You're my internal.
Yeah.
I'm creating you out of everything I think and believe about you. You are my creation, and if I don't like you, I look to me.
Mm.
If I like you, I look to me. And if I like you, that is the connection. If I don't like you and I don't look to myself, in other words, I believe you to be anything less than beautiful, then that's on me. And so you're my work.
Mm.
You, the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard a thing from Ram Dass. I'll try not to be excessively quotacious during this. I have a tendency of doing that. But something that I heard from him that's very in a similar vein is that your whole world, it's like another person is like a tree. It's like passing phenomenon, you know, and so your responsibility is your own reaction to that. It's not the tree's responsibility. It's not the person. So if a person calls you a name
the
or this
tree's
and that,
already responsible. It's doing its job and it's true to it.
it's responsible for itself. And
Yeah.
I'm responsible for myself. But then what is self?
Well, what I believe myself to be. I can never be more or less than I believe me to be.
Yeah. I wonder from your perspective, so you went through, it was a 10-year deep depression.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was alcoholic, and you weighed over 200 pounds, and
And agoraphobic and couldn't leave
and
my bedroom without it
didn't-
being such a horrible experience. It would keep me in longer the next time.
and you didn't believe that you were deserving of sleeping in a bed, which is very fascinating.
Yeah, that's low self-esteem for sure.
Yeah. I wonder if you have any sense of where the seeds of those thought patterns came from, or that story where that creation came from for you to be trapped inside of that.
Well, it's just pure identity. I'm unworthy. There's something wrong with me. Other people are free to talk and be together and go to work, and I can't even get out of bed. And it was horrible. So mine was creating the identity of this object. But when inquiry found me in that just moment of grace on the floor, as I lay just sleeping on the floor, I had this radical opportunity to see the cause of all suffering, the cause of all my suffering. And once I saw that, it was any thought that I would think about myself, like there's something wrong with me, would be received like, I'll put a language to it, like, that's crazy. How can there be something wrong with, it's like holding my hands, there's something wrong with me. There's something right with me. This is fascinating. This is the tree we were pointed. It's unto itself the most beautiful. It is what it is. And the old way would be, what am I doing? He's looking at my hands. This looks stupid. And so I'm talking about, no. And hiding the hands, hiding the body, just hiding out.
Yeah. Do you have a sense of any, do you think like childhood seeds were planted? Do you think ancestry? Do you think pre-ancestry? Do you think, like, where do those stories start? Is that being...
Well, my mother said one day, for example, hypothetically, she'd say, Byron Kathleen. And I would, I was just a child, and I didn't know she was talking about me. I didn't know my name. I didn't know I.
Yeah.
And then she says, Byron Kathleen. And I still don't recognize it. But let's say there's that moment. She says, Byron Kathleen. And I look at her, and she's looking at me, and she's talking to me, and all of a sudden it comes together, and I believe her. And in that moment, I become Byron Kathleen. That's my identity.
Yeah, it's like a suit.
Yes, and in that moment, I have a mother. And in that moment, it's like identity is born. But prior to that, here I am. Prior to all, That's a timeless state of mind, and rightfully so, because time is as we believe it to be, as we imagine. Let's say if we look at identity, me walking through the door to meet you today, that's not you, that's not me. That is the movie running in my head. And if I'm focused in that past or in the future following the interview, if I'm focused there, then I can't be here.
Yeah.
So there's no harm I've found in more than 30 years now. There's not there's no downside to being here now. I need no past, I need no future. It's like being boom, born. It's like no past, no future. And it's always safe. And anything we need to accomplish or do or serve isn't later or before. It's here. So it's handy dandy to be in the now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, something that I'm not smart enough yet, or maybe I don't feel enough yet to understand, is what time is and what future is and what past is.
It's nothing. No wonder you
Okay.
can't figure it out.
Perfect.
God, you're
That
there.
makes me feel better.
Well, it's nothing unless you can prove it to me.
Hmm.
Like someone said, I saw you at breakfast this morning. I think, you know, that's their world. I have mine.
Yeah. Yeah, the story, there's like, I've heard of Amazonian tribes that they don't, from their beliefs, there's one specifically called the Paraha people in the Brazilian Amazon, and they don't have, in their language and their zeitgeist, the way they live, they don't have a sense of time beyond what's happened in this lifetime. So if you tell me about
Well,
Jesus or
rightfully
Buddha,
so.
and then I wonder if you can, so that's one layer of perception of time. I wonder if the next layer of perception of time is maybe there's nothing beyond this moment right now.
Well,
And it's all just your
I would
story of
just
what you
drop
believe.
the maybe.
That would make sense.
Well, unless you can prove otherwise to me. The whole world can say there is, but what do you believe? You have to prove it for yourself, to yourself.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first things I faced, when I had when I got a clue.
Yeah.
People would say Byron Kathleen, or my children would say Mom, and it's okay if they believed that. What do I believe?
Yeah. For people
And
that,
and
oh, go
and
on.
being here, we could say in this apparent world, this earth, I can talk out of it. I can speak to it, even though I'm not here. I don't exist other than right here, right now. But if we look at that, did you hear me say right here, right now?
I think I did.
Okay. You can think it, but you can never prove it.
Yeah. That's
And
right.
that's so it's to be awake to it, so we can talk in apparent time and all, and it's a beautiful dream, but it's nice to be grounded in where we are. I had an experience, Aaron, where um, I was that experience remains. There's no words for it. I'd like to say more, but it's out of time, out of space, out of place, no object free, and it's safe. And I guess that's all I want to say.
What challenges you?
Well, oh my gosh, the question you just asked.
Yeah.
So what challenges me? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, what challenges me? What challenges me? Mary, what challenges me? Do you know that? Challenges me, challenges me, challenges me, challenges me. If it comes, then
Yeah.
What challenges me? Oh, I'm doing an event with thousands of people, and this virus scare going around. Um, it's not a challenge. I was going to say to just say if you're coming to see me, don't come
Hmm.
unless you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I I love this world, and I consider it my teacher, and I'm respectful of that, and I serve that. So really, I'm a follower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For people who are so they believe that they're trapped in their thoughts and in their stories, and their
Mm.
stories are like a straitjacket
Yeah.
suffocating them. Is there some way to navigate that without going through like a deep 10-year
Oh
depression
my goodness, yes.
and
Yeah.
cracking?
Yeah.
Or maybe cracking's not a maybe
It's
cracking's okay.
it's just well, it's we get there one way or the other, and we have opportunities, and life is that. Life is the push. It's like Earth is like a school, and it'll kick us, it'll hurt us, it'll soothe us, but if it hurts, that is the push to so we can get what we came for to this we'll say this planet to understand our true nature.
Yeah.
Those are just words for ask the question again.
People that feel trapped in their thoughts,
Yeah.
do they need to completely disassemble and crack in order to
No.
readjust their suit?
No, no. I watch people all over the world, friends of mine that were just so stuck in their identities that are just blowing them one right after another. So the questions and how to identify the thoughts that cause that kind of suffering that you're pointing to.
Yeah.
On byronkatie.com, it's 100% free. You don't have to sign up for newsletter, nothing. It's just right there, front and center.
Hmm.
And it's just a matter of is the ego, is it just are you just available enough just to sit in yourself and just meditate in the question, is it true? Put up against something like, my life isn't worth living when I was so suicidal.
Yeah.
And the first question is it true? And there are only four. And then how do I react when I believe the thought? I'm suicidal. I'm agoraphobic. I'm terrified. I can't sleep. I fear. It's a horrible existence. That's how I react when I believe that thought, for example. And who would I be without it? And that's the test, It's just who am I? And to allow it to answer, allow the answer just to allow it to gift you who and what you are without the thought.
Yeah.
And then my life isn't worth living. When we turn that around, when we flip it, my life is worth living. And then you just try that on. You just try it on. You just try it on. I'm not going to trade a positive belief for a negative one. I've got to know, and that's the way out. My life is worth living, and sitting with you, and the breath when you invited me to breathe. Life is obviously worth living. I'm living, I'm breathing. Life is worth living. Your laughter, that's worth living for. It's just you're glowing in my world, and life is worth living. Gosh, if I ever need to run, there's an exit sign over the door. It's just like I don't know what a door is. There's even an exit sign. There are two lights on the exit. I mean, it's just the abundance and the beauty and the sunlight. Life is worth living. Flowers and tissue and
Palo Santo. And I would be glowing in one's world if that's the filter that they perceive the world through regardless.
Yes.
It's not about me. Your perception of my
Yes.
glowing is about you.
Yeah.
And my perception of your glowing is about me.
Beautiful.
Right?
Yes.
So how does a person start to be able to realize that they have a closet of suits that they can try on, and then they're not just trapped in one shirt? And
Life. You know, it's like I walked through the door, and yeah, that's a dream. Yeah, it's an image in my head, and yeah, that's not me. I can't touch it. You know, this is what we've got, and this is the gift. But if I'm there, you know, I'm missing. I can't remember the question you asked,
oh, don't worry about it.
and I don't even know if you ask a question.
I wasn't really. I'm just talking. Yeah, I don't tend to ask questions. So I wonder. So with you, because enlightenment isn't really a thing.
No, it's a word for freedom,
Yeah. And so
and I don't even know that I'm free.
yeah.
You know, I wouldn't. I'm good. I'm good now.
If a person is truly free, I wonder if there's any purpose of being in a human body.
Well, if you're really free, you're not.
What happens then?
Well, show me something that's not past future.
I don't think that I can think of anything that's not past future.
You can't. And if you thought you could question that and get still. And
What do you
even the breath is past future. The
What-
mind's past future.
what do you think the purpose of being on Earth and in this human suit and playing this game and learning how to navigate and all that? I wonder sometimes, like, what is the point of any of that? If there is a point, maybe that's not the right
point
question.
is what you believe it to be.
Yeah.
And other than that, you know, the point is always it's here. It's immovably apparently here. That's as close as we can get, really.
When you have in your life, when you come up with moments of, do you have moments of feeling semblances of of fear, or is that not something that pops up for you?
Well, I would fear. The only way for me to fear would be to imagine something happening in the future, and what I'm thinking and believing it to be. Let's say a car is coming at me. It's just coming straight at me, and there's no way out. I would have to imagine that it's going to hit me before it hits me to fear the car coming at me.
Yeah.
So the car isn't, I'm not afraid of the car. What I'm imagining is the cause of the fear. So nothing is fearful in my world.
Do you think if you can come to a point where you're truly, because I think a lot of, especially like machismo type humans, maybe not necessarily only machismo, but you know, like you can say I'm not afraid to die, but it's easier said than done.
You know, there's a man that told his doctor recently he had the doctor said he had a big problem with his heart, and he said and the doctor was saying, you know, if you do this, you're going to die. If you do that, you can, this is really serious. It's really, and my friend said, and I just told him, I'm not afraid of death. And as it happens, my friend wants to stop smoking. And I said, and he's having terrible trouble with it. And I told him, really? You're not afraid to die? Prove it. Die. Die before you smoke. Die. Show me you don't fear death. And so that's quite a challenge, because the only death is the death of the ego.
Yeah.
And so anyone that really believes they're not afraid to die, let them come see you for a while.
and do acro,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly so. Or
Yeah.
afraid of identity or how they're going to look or that they're going to fail. I'm going to fail. That is a thought of the future. And so test it.
Yeah.
Test it. Go fail. The worst that can happen is what you're thinking and believing.
I was at a dance thing last night, ecstatic dance.
Hmm.
So everyone's getting like really funky and sweaty and doing all this weird stuff. And there's some people that clearly have this one-to-one attuned connection with, like, I feel this emotion and I express it out of my body in this way. And then I can see there's some other people where they have a visual or a vision, a sensation of like, wow, it'd be great to be a ballerina or, whatever it may be. And it's like the circuits aren't quite there.
Yeah.
And it feels
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's like a jump, it's almost like Alan Watts talks about how it takes skill to enjoy life. Like as you develop the skills of being in this human form, you can start to take joy, and it's like you almost open up the pathway for you to be able to express that essence out
Yeah.
through your voice or through your work or through your movement or whatever it may be. I'm very body centric, body biased. I wonder if that's misleading, and perhaps a person doesn't need to be deeply associated to their body, and they can still maintain that similar sensation of connection.
It's a beautiful way.
Yeah, it's one of the ways.
It's one of the ways.
Yeah. Can we do it without that? Like, what are the
There's
tools?
no wrong way. No wrong way. Let's say I was paralyzed from head to toe.
Yeah.
And there's no problem with that other than what I'm thinking and believing. So if I'm at peace with my mind, then anyone that has a problem with my paralysis is the one in trouble, not me.
Yeah. Do you think you create your life in front of you through your thoughts and feelings, or do you think it's already
Well,
predestined?
where else? No, just the mind. It's even the mind that would have such an idea. Only the mind that would have such an idea.
Yeah, I'm a thinker.
Yeah, well, nothing wrong with that. I think I'm
I'm a compensatory thinker, I would say.
yeah. I just love this world, and I don't care where it is. I'm at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, past, future, bring it on.
What are the steps for a person to gain relationship with their own death?
Imagine death. Imagine it's like write down everything you fear about death. Like if I die, I'm going to hell. If I die, I'll be terrified. If I die, so you write down what you're thinking and believing about death, because that is the cause of the fear. And then you just put them through those 4 questions and turnarounds and see where you land.
Can we go through the 4 questions for people
Yeah.
that aren't familiar with it?
Uh-huh.
So what is the breakdown of this for a person if they have a problem? I could probably drum up some problem that I have, I think.
Okay.
Can you ask me a question?
Yeah, when you die, what do you fear about death?
I think what I fear about death is that I will have not fulfilled what my potential could have been in this blink of an experience.
And where does that leave you?
It leaves me feeling perhaps a bit more contracted and feeling like I need to keep pushing inevitably into nothing because there's no end to what I can achieve.
Oh, okay. So I don't know how to interpret that. Like if
It
what
leaves
you
me
fear
fearful
about,
of death is what it
if
leaves
you-
me.
If you what you most fear about death is you won't have completed.
I won't
what
have
you-
completed what
your purpose.
whatever that means. Yeah, whatever the highest potential of this experience is.
And what does that mean? You're just going to be lost and miserable in hell, or just lost and miserable?
I'll be regretting on my deathbed that I didn't do all I could.
Okay. So do you experience that in life?
Uh,
That you're not doing all that you could?
yeah, most days.
Okay, so here you are. The worst that could happen when you die, you're already experiencing here. And that's all death is. Death has a bad reputation. We imagine what it's going to be, but it's really what we fear about life.
Yeah.
It's
So would the first question be, is it true?
Oh, you let's say what you most fear about death is that what? Has to be just a short, simple. What do you fear about death?
I fear that I won't have lived up to my potential.
Okay. So um so if you die, you will fear. Let's say you'll just go on and on and on fearing. I don't quite know where to go with this. Because it's an odd one. It's like you're when you die,
Yeah.
you are going to you are going to fear you have not lived out your potential.
Yeah.
That's going to happen when you die. Is it true?
No.
And how do you react? What happens when you believe the thought? When you die, you will not have lived out your potential.
How do I
How do you react? What happens? Look
it
at your
feels
look.
it feels almost like contractive, like hands kind of contracting and feels
Yeah.
contracting.
You feel anything in your chest or your neck, shoulders,
Feel it
anything? Your
mostly
emotions, hands.
hands, and like heart.
Okay. So you feel that. And what images do you see in your mind's eye of the future in death?
Darkness and reaching.
Okay, so just, okay, now as you experience that image, you're witnessing the cause of what you described in your hands. It's a movie.
Hmm.
It's the movie of death. It's not death. And as you witness that, that's the cause of emotion. So who would you be without the thought?
I would be free.
Awake.
Yeah.
Realizing the cause of your suffering. So let's turn it around and test that. What's the opposite?
I
When I die, I will not.
I welcome death because I need to say it in that
Uh
form though.
huh. When I die, I will not.
When I die, I will not have any regrets of this experience.
Okay, just feel that. Could be just as true.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're experiencing that in life.
Yeah. So from changing filters or changing suits, would you recommend a person continues playing with rehearsing that and exploring that?
Exploring, yes. Rehearsing, no. It's got to be so authentic to get, if I ask myself, um, there's something to worry about, is it true? And that's not a good one. It's so playful being with you, Aaron. It's hard for me to really pin anything down because I
Good.
don't really get that you're a worrier, and
Wow.
and
Yeah, I mean, I think that I am somewhat of I don't think I'm as present as I could be, but I think the bigger picture behind that is just that I'm continually feeling like there's more that could be done. So I think that's really the thing. Is I think that there's like a deep-seated sensation of not being
Do you
enough.
know,
Probably would have come back to.
sweetheart, if I have the thought there's more to be done, I let it come to me. I let what that is come to me, and then I'm more able to deal with it. But I don't guess that there's more to be done until it comes through
Yeah.
my screen or my staff or my family. I don't guess, and I mean it's I'm just still. I'm happy. I don't have that on my plate
Yeah.
until there is something to do. And then I have this schedule and everything, so I don't ever have to wonder if there's something to do. If my schedule's empty, there's nothing to do. It's I just let the world worry about that, and if I'm needed, they come. In the meantime, it's equally as good. To be at home in oneself, that's it. I just don't expect the world to fulfill me. It's that's my job.
Yeah.
There's if I'm getting out of bed in the morning, that is the something to do. And if I'm brushing my teeth, that is the something to do. And that's no more or less valuable than anything that I do in my life.
Yeah.
Because as I'm brushing my teeth, what am I thinking and believing? If I'm with you, what am I thinking and believing? But with a blank mind, just following the simple directions of life, that's, for me, that's it.
Feels like because we're so entrenched in a story, so this is more like thinking stuff, but like our financial model, the origin of it is built on interest.
Mm-hmm.
So when a dollar gets made, there's interest attached to that, and then banks get it, and property holders and all that stuff. There's
Mm-hmm.
just on top of that. So there's this insatiable need to grow more, 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 more.
And why?
Well, the core of that, I'm again not smart enough yet to really understand like the origination of owning property, but I feel like we're steeped in that story as a Western culture people.
Yeah.
And so but then there's another story behind that of exactly what you're describing of I'm completely enough as is, and growth is just a story. Like I'm always growing, I'm always living, I'm always dying, I'm always doing that regardless. But it's interesting that it's almost like this juxtaposition of that story that we're entrenched in, which leads to, I think, contraction and almost like feeling like a slave to growth of whatever the heck that means. And then there's the story behind that is like, I think, freedom of being able to actually love what is and being in this present moment. And it's very fascinating to be kind of plopped in this spiritual ethereal body in that place where it's kind of like the rules of the game are like keep going, keep turning.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm in a place of witnessing. Is I feel like I intuitively and at times from a deeper heart space know all the things that you're saying, and then I also have this ongoing, these gears are turning, and I feel like the shoe might drop if I don't do this and that. So there's like a deeper contraction that exists.
Yeah.
And so mentally I'm like, yeah, of course I can just drop all that shit. But then deeper physically, like in my body, there's
something
still
running in you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm just all about the simple way, I do what I can, and then what I'm thinking and believing around that, if it needs a little work, then I question. I identify what I'm thinking and believing and question it and go on and a little more enlightened,
So ask
a
better
little
questions.
lighter.
I need to ask better questions.
And I think to identify, I wasn't getting that you're really afraid of that in death, what we were working with. I think that it's a push in your life that does a lot of good. And that gives you a good life, and that pleases me deeply. It just brings joy to my heart, and um, and you're on a beautiful quest. The freer you get, the more of you we get. So, little of this, little of that, balance. I think balance that's it.
So I'm hearing perhaps I could love that contraction because it's of service.
Well, you could just no, you could just do the service and drop the contraction.
Do you think it takes love to drop the contraction first, or is there
Well,
any
I
sequence
just
of events?
try dropping it.
Okay.
Life's an experiment.
All right.
Yeah, it's like it could be truer that it's nothing you have to do. It's just something, or it's just something you love. It's your nature. You serve by nature, and your mind is holding that it's something you have to do.
Yeah. Do you feel when you weighed over 200 pounds, do you feel like there was some type of like psychosomatic, like you were emotionally holding on to weight and then it expresses itself in the form of weight, or do you think that's
No,
disconnected?
I guilt is, in my experience, guilt is the cause of all addiction, and I just see it as addiction. And the ability, the way the mind works is if I think, say, or do anything that is against my nature, toward myself, toward you, I'm going to feel guilt. We can't get away with it.
How do you define your nature?
Just pure, there are terms for like pure love,
Hmm.
pure giving, pure service. Just it's something that gives, like air gives, like rain gives, like oxygen, just beauty, flawless. So if I see anything less than beautiful, then there's something off there. And that's too broad a statement. Let's say you say or do something, and I think he hurt my feelings, or it wouldn't be like that. It's, oh, maybe I'm smiling like that. It's like I'm thinking out of my nature against you. You're that symbol that my mind is using, and then I feel guilt. And then something will come to mind. If I'm a smoker, it'll be a cigarette. If I am if food is my thing, I might see, let's say chocolate's my thing, I might see chocolate cake. If drugs are my thing, it might be whatever that would be.
Yeah.
And so that hits the head, and we don't know it's happening. We see an image of it, and let's say it's a cigarette. I see an image of me smoking. I have to see it in the past first to even know what it is. And then I see it in the past, and I see it in the future. And then I literally experience it. So I've already started smoking the cigarette.
Yeah.
For example, if you bite into, like right now, imagine you're biting into a big juicy lemon. You feel that, what happens?
Yeah.
It's you experience it. So it's the same with a cigarette. It's the same with compulsive overeating. It's the same with any addiction. So we see that, we experience it, and it looks like the way out. We've got a focus that moved us from the cause of the original suffering, which is what I was thinking and believing about me or about you or the world. So let's say he hurt my feelings, then I am saying, I'm judging that tree that we were talking about earlier. It's just doing its job. It's just doing its job, and it's not possible that you hurt my feelings. What I was thinking and believing about you is the cause of my hurt feelings, and it's not ever going to change. You're a tree. This beautiful tree swaying in the end and giving like nature. And if I can't see that, then I look to the source of all creation of the world. No two people live in the same world.
Yeah.
We all live in our own.
feels like it's like we're all at all times, everything is happening. It could be to us, it could be for us, it could be through us. It's just dependent upon your filter of things. So you tune into the channel, and then you're like, okay, wow, it's all moving through me. And then you can go to channel 35 or whatever, and you're like, oh God, it's the torment, it's all against me. And it's just a matter of being able to recognize that you can pick up the controller and actually you can switch channels.
Um, I just, I wake up to reality because if I switch channel, it still implies that other channel is there. So now I've got two channels. So I just get in touch with reality, and that's the consistent one channel.
I wonder, something I wrote down before is I wonder how you define trauma, because I feel like that's like a kind of a nebulous word that's
Yeah,
get thrown around a lot.
trauma is remembering, which is another way of saying the past imagined now. And it's like the lemon. We smell it, taste it, feel it. And it's, oh boy, working with people with PTSD it's amazing the breakthroughs they can make through inquiry. It's there's a way for people listening to this that are experiencing trauma.
Yeah.
But what we were thinking and believing. For example, if I'm traumatized over this certain thing, what I was thinking and believing in that situation is what keeps it alive all these years later. And it's never too late to go back into that situation. And for your listeners, your viewers, to go to byronkatie.com, download a worksheet, and fill it in. There are only 6 things to fill in there. And it captures what you were thinking and believing in the situation when you were traumatized. So then when you question it with those 4 questions and turnarounds, it opens that trauma up, and it's beyond magical, and it's not a quick fix for sure. It takes a lot of courage to sit in that trauma and ask yourself, is it true?
Yeah.
What I'm thinking and believing in that situation, is it true? Because that trauma becomes our identity. And there are a lot of perks to it, and we would never think of it that way. But the ego loves a trauma, loves a good trauma.
Why do you think the ego loves a good trauma? Do you think it's a significance thing or something?
It's identity just locked in.
Yeah.
It's people. There's a way out, and the way out is to drop into oneself with that question: is it true? It's so powerful.
Yeah.
It's as powerful as existence.
Thank you so much for making time for this.
You're welcome. What a trip. Right now in my mind's eye, I see you holding this 77-year-old woman in the air. And just, oh my God. It's just, I wouldn't miss it for anything. And, there's some things I just love about the past I'm going to keep.
Good. That means the world. I will, well, I think I would like to keep this past. I don't know if all my spiritual teacher people would approve of this, but I'm gonna maybe I can put it in like a little necklace or something.
It can never be real again. But the mind is all the fun and all the misery in the world, and it's a beautiful world.
Yeah.
Once it's understood.
So people, I highly recommend people get. So Mind at Home with Itself is the one that I just reread or re-listened to rather.
Yeah.
So it's on audiobook as well. What's the best place for people to go? So you have at byronkatie.com, people can go, and it's like the sun. It's just shining. It doesn't actually need your newsletter, mailing list, or whatever. There's deeper stuff behind that. I heard like maybe people go to seminars and all that stuff with you.
Yeah,
But where should people go?
on thework.com, there's an event schedule.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, but more importantly, there's the work and how to do the work free of charge.
Great.
Yeah. Also, there's a helpline that people can call and have a worksheet ready, and they can call and they don't ask their name or where they're from, nothing. They can call and they'll support them to do the work until they can do it on their own for people who can't.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing to see a person at a point in their life where you are becoming more like nature and more, with nature just gives without expectation. And it's something that I think that I'm working on. That's a place that I'm working towards arriving to.
Yeah, well, you seem to be doing well.
Okay.
Well done.
Well, it's a process.
Oh, you've got such a like a child's heart. It's a beautiful thing to sit in.
Well, we are reflections of each other, so I see that in you as well. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I so
You're
greatly
welcome.
appreciate the time. All right. Thanks for listening. Over now.